Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name's Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another video. There's not quite been 2 or 3 game weeks in 1 week this week, but we do have a deadline coming up. Let's get into our teams. A few injury concerns along the way.
Okay, so we're going to take a brief look at Game Week 16. Scored 64 points, which was quite a big, juicy green arrow, a 50% green arrow actually last week, taking me into the top 12k in the world. Really nice week. So not too many scorers, but there was just a lot of points in the guys that did score. Obviously, Heung-min Son went off for that 17-pointer. You obviously had the benching or just weren't in the squad of Erling Haaland, which meant Salah was on the vice captaincy for 26 points in total. Just goes to prove that you need to pick good vice captains, even when you think your captain will be starting that game week, because it's just so crucial in those odd game weeks like last week that would come to fruition. And then obviously Dominic Solanke, a big 7-pointer, sort of made the difference really between sort of an okay week to a really, really good week. Obviously, not many people own Solanke, and a lot of them are bringing them in this week. So, yeah, decent week for me. But going into my actual team, we have the double Chelsea defense, which let me down big style at Goodison Park last week. Obviously, Sanchez came off a little bit early, has a potential knee injury. He suffered it at Old Trafford against United, and then said that he was suffering a little bit towards the end of that Everton game. So they took him off early as a precaution. I'm really hoping that him or Areola, who is on my bench, are fit, because I really don't want to be making a goalkeeper transfer right now. Transfers are quite valuable at the moment, given the fact there's so many injuries and suspensions at the moment. So, yeah, hopefully one of those guys are back. Back three of Saliba with Brighton at home, obviously Colwill, Sheffield United at home, and then Fabian Schär with Fulham at home. Quite a nice differential having Schär, obviously, with Trippier suspended for game week 17. What's your thoughts on the defence, Ben, and the goalkeeper scenario?
Yeah, I mean it's a difficult scenario to be in, obviously, with doubts on the keeps, etc. But the general sort of core of the defense is looking decent, and I think a lot of managers sort of would say that that's a decent defense to have this week. Sure, it's a decent differential to have, although Newcastle sort of have looked a bit leggy in recent weeks with so much involvement in competition. But yeah, Colwill should be in line for a start this week with Reece James out injured now. And the same for Saliba, obviously played midweek, but he can sort of play for anything. So I anticipate a couple of clean sheets in here, and maybe sort of a higher scoring week for the defenders who are playing at home.
Nice. And then moving on into the midfield, we've got obviously Jarrod Bowen with Wolves at home. Bit disappointed last week in West Ham in general. I didn't expect them to lose by that many to Fulham. So Wolves at home, hopefully their home form seems to be a little bit better, and hopefully he can get amongst the goals again. Cole Palmer, Sheffield United at home. He's yet to return for me since I brought him in. So this Sheffield United fixture, I think, is a little bit harder than it probably was a few weeks back. Now they've got Chris Wilder in charge. They seem like a decent side. Obviously, they just beat Brentford 1-0. I know Brentford are missing a couple of players as well, but I don't think that's as easy as what it was. Obviously, Gibbs White, someone who I brought in as a bit of a differential, hasn't really paid off. I can't really afford to take him out right now either. He's got Tottenham at home this week and then Bournemouth next week. I think I'll keep him for the next two just because of the transfer plans that I have around the rest of the squad. And then obviously Son with Forest away, potentially a good captaincy option this week. Currently got the captaincy on Mo Salah against United at home. Just watching United and the sheer amount of injuries that United have at the moment, I don't really see a better option, even if Erling Haaland is declared fit. What's your thoughts on the captaincy, Ben, and then the midfield in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad when a United fan's captaining against his own team. But I completely agree there. Like, I think he's one of the standout captaincy options this week, regardless of who's fit and who's not. Like, Man United just absolutely decimated at the moment. Son is a contender as well for the captaincy. Like, Spurs look in decent form. He looks in decent form. He looks up for it, and Forest looks so poor as well. And yeah, that's the issue with your team at the moment is Gibbs White. Even though he's one of the non-flagged ones, you're sort of forced to keep him in there. And Cole Palmer, I think, will come good. Yes, he was overperforming statistics, but he should sort of bring up the stats a little bit with these next few games in terms of an attacking perspective. And then Bowen again is like a 50-51. A lot of people, if he doesn't return, sort of instantly go, oh, get him out. He got a couple of decent returns over the last few weeks, but not to the levels I think a lot of owners were expecting.
Yeah, and then moving on to up top, obviously you got Haaland potentially against Palace at home. Obviously, I'm sure Ben will dive into that a little bit more. We're not sure whether he's going to play yet. It's very touch and go. We're recording this Thursday night at the moment, and he's been posting Instagram stories of himself in an airport, which is absolutely no use for a lot of FPL managers at the moment. But for me right now, I'm debating selling him potentially because obviously they've got a blank game week next week in game week 18. So it's just weighing up if it's worth it in my eyes. And then obviously Dominic Solanke, Luton at home, really nice fixture. He's been a nice sort of differential to Ollie Watkins. Haven't owned Ollie Watkins all season. And he's sort of been matching him, if not outscoring him in recent weeks, obviously with those tough fixtures for Villa. So that's been really nice to have him. And I think the transfer plans at the moment is sort of to roll this week if I can get away with it. And then next week, going into the blank game week, trying to get Ollie Watkins into my team. And I can do that by taking Bowen and Cameron Archer out and then having Anthony Gordon and Ollie Watkins come in. And then obviously Newcastle have got Luton away in that blank game week as well. So I sort of cover myself in that Newcastle attack, if he is fit, because obviously there's been rumours about Gordon potentially not being fit too. So yeah, that's the team. Obviously the bench is absolutely decimated as well, like pretty much everyone's bench at the moment. Obviously Maguire, I don't expect to be fit for this weekend. Taylor's suspended. So Archer is like the only man who can sort of play at the moment. And we've not really had any updates at this present time because there'll be press conferences on Friday. What would you do in my scenario, Ben? Do you think that's sort of the prime move to get Ollie Watkins for that fixture in the blank?
Yeah, I think you're going to want Ollie Watkins. Generally, like if you've not got him and you have forced to get him into your team in 2 moves, it's going to be the make way. And you could go, if Haaland's confirmed out, you can make that move a week early. Obviously, I'm sort of in the camp of probably keeping him just because I've already got Watkins. I don't really sort of see the value for me. Yes, Solanke's in good form, but Cillian is one of the only options. There's just not much going for FPL managers in terms of striking options. So I won't be tempted to take him out, I don't think. But, you know, let's all hope that he's fit because a lot of managers have transferred out Haaland and we'll see about that. But yeah, in your scenario, it's difficult. It's rollable, but, you know, 1 or 2 injuries could change that. Okay, so moving on into my team, and this week's one of the first weeks in a while that I've had to go for 4 at the back just because of injuries and what have you. So we start off in goal, Dubravka, Fulham at home. A lot of people worrying about nothing with these Newcastle assets at the moment. Dubravka, a lot of people worried about because he was out of training. He was just ill, and he even started in the Champions League. Didn't play too badly either. So I'm pretty happy and set with him starting against Fulham at home this week. Tsimikas starting against Manchester United at home. I'm really confident in Liverpool doing well this week against United. Going forward, United look toothless. At the back, they look shaky. And I anticipate seeing sort of damage done by Tsimikas from set pieces. He also has a rest midweek this week as well. A lot of rotation in that Liverpool squad for the Europa League, which is all good. Colwill, I'm happy with as well for this week. Yes, he got a jammy 60 minutes last week and ended up with 1 point, but hopefully he'll get the start again this week. Gabriel, I'm feeling like he's due a benching at some point, but we're going to roll with him again this week. We'll hope he plays. And Nuri has been past fit to play this week, and I'm hoping that he's fit enough to start, is the hope. I get the feeling that he's probably going to end up coming off the bench, so it might be one to sort of monitor for myself. O'Neill had his press conference today, so he is fit. That yellow flag should go. So yeah, that's the back sort of 5. What are your thoughts, Josh? What are the thoughts on sort of like Nuri as well?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He's sort of been he's been flagged the whole time you sort of needed him, and so hopefully he is back. I think that West Ham away fixture is not too bad. West Ham obviously got European commitments obviously tonight as well, so there's the question marks over whether they're going to be fit enough for that. I think the rest of the defense is like similar to mine, really. It's sort of the same defenses, so hopefully should have the same outcome. Obviously, Tsimikas is interesting. I think the odds for United to win at the weekend are like 9-1. I think the odds for United to score are almost 2-1. So it's looking heavily likely that if you own Liverpool assets, that you'll get on well this weekend. He's someone who I expect to start, and like you say, I think the main threat with him is going to be through set pieces. But generally, United are going to have players like Johnny Evans, Varane. So I think that's one area that United might actually be okay within. It's just going to be the rest of it, sort of defending the likes of Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, and Diaz. But we'll have to wait and see.
So moving on into the midfield, and a lot of managers worried about Anthony Gordon. And personally, I think FPL managers are a little bit overreactionary just because of the amount of flags this week. I think Gordon is fine. I think he obviously sort of came off because he felt something in his hamstring. But again, from what I was seeing on the pitch and on the bench during the Champions League game, it didn't look like anything serious. And I anticipate, Newcastle are going to have to sort of, if Gordon's fit, he's got to play because he's their best player at the moment going forwards. And Newcastle need a result to get out of this sort of rut of performances against a Fulham team that is in great form. So I'm pretty confident that Gordon's going to start this week. Saka, I think, is a really decent fixture as well. Like, I can't complain too much about that. And it's almost tempting to sort of get in another Arsenal attacker for the fixture run that they've got coming up. Cole Palmer, as Josh said, he's jinxed him since he's got him in. I've had him in for his points returns, so I can't complain too much about that. But I'm hoping that Sheffield United at home can provide some form of attacking return. And like Josh said, with the Mo Salah and Son, I'm completely in the same boat with him there. Salah is probably the best captaincy, but Son is also a great shout as well. Josh, a couple of little different players in there. What are your thoughts on the midfield?
Yeah, love an Arsenal attacker for this week. Brighton defensively haven't kept a clean sheet all season. So, yeah, they're definitely going to concede against this Arsenal side. I really like Gabriel Jesus, actually. I know he's not obviously in your team, but as a little differential up top, I think he provides some good cover if you're potentially looking elsewhere up there. Gordon's the interesting one for me. I'm a little bit more pessimistic than Ben is in terms of him, just because this is not the first week where he's been picked up another injury. The same happened last week as well. So he's picking up knocks left, right, and centre, and I think he is due a rest. So it's just a matter of time when that rest will be. Obviously, there's been rumours about Joel Linton playing on the left and stuff like that. I think the most likely outcome would be Callum Wilson and Isak playing together, and then that would give Gordon the ability to rest. So not saying that's going to happen this weekend, but I think he is definitely due a rest just because of the amount of knocks. So yes, it's probably one to ponder and sort of hope that if I was a Gordon owner, I'd hope it would be this week rather than next week when obviously you've got the blank game week.
Yeah, and then moving on to strike force and the bench, which again is absolutely decimated. We got Watkins up top, fairly sort of confident on him, and with the fixtures sort of turning a little bit again for Villa, especially in a blank game, I'm pretty happy and set on keeping him. The bench is a bit sort of here and there and everywhere. I'm hoping Haaland's past fit. I probably will end up starting Haaland anyway, just in case. It'll probably be a case that he either starts or doesn't play a part in it at all, is my sort of general consensus on it. And if he does start, I imagine he's not going to get much more than 60 minutes this week. So that's fair to say. And I'll probably keep the captaincy on Salah, even if he is past sort of okay. Branthwaite's obviously sort of suspended for this game week. And then we've got Mubama on the bench, who doesn't really get too many minutes either for West Ham. I got one free transfer and a bit of a sticky situation for me. I am possibly going to sort of transfer out Branthwaite because I know he's guaranteed not playing this week and Everton's fixtures are a little bit tougher. And the options to bring in, I could bring in a Doji of Spurs is an option, or I could sort of transfer out Nuri for Porro if I wanted sort of to upgrade there. So there's a couple of options there. I don't think ideally I want to be taking a hit this week, but if it comes to it and it looks like you say, Gordon's going to be out, Haaland's going to be out, and I've got no bench coverage, I may be forced to take that -4. Josh, what are your thoughts overall then on the team and the potential transfer plans?
Yeah, I think the team's really good, to be fair. It's just obviously lacking a bit of depth just because of the injuries and the suspensions. It's 1 week where Branthwaite would have been fantastic to not be suspended. But in terms of like replacements, I think Aston Villa defence as well is another good place to look. I know a lot of people are looking at Porro and the Spurs defence, but I think their defence is good. Pau Torres in particular has got decent attacking threat from set pieces as well. So yeah, between those two, I think are good options. It's just, yeah, like you say, you need to have ideally someone, even if you had like Cameron Archer over Mubama, like at least you know that player is going to start. Obviously, that wouldn't be a transfer to do, but at the minute, you're spreading yourself really thin on the bench.
Yeah, it would be the week for Mabama to get a start on a goal, wouldn't it? Over at home. So we'll see about that.
Okay, so that wraps up our game week 17 team selection. A lot of flags, a lot of injuries. Obviously, we'll know more on that Friday deadline. It's at 6:30 tomorrow night, so not much time between press conferences and the game week deadline. If you want to hear about updates or press conferences, stuff like that, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We try and post as soon as we know players are fit or injured on there.
As always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.